Unreal China. The far corners too fragile for the crowds to find. Villagers cut a 1-kilometer road through a cliff using hand tools. It ended isolation, then exposed why China's fragile edges cannot absorb unlimited access. Once a road reaches a remote valley, distance stops protecting it. Tunnels, cableways, paved paths, and tour buses can compress a hard journey into a few hours. Thin soil, nesting grounds, timber towns, and sacred mountain paths cannot expand to take the pressure. I admire the force required to open these frontiers, but question what must remain difficult. In this film, we explore whether dozens of remarkable places can remain intact, as modern access sends more people onto ground that cannot widen. A town built to survive a difficult river now risks being overwhelmed by the access that keeps its visitor trade moving. Across both banks of the Tuojiang, lanes, gates, quays, and covered bridges hold a townscape shaped largely during the Ming and Qing periods. The signature riverside houses are not decoration. Their timber frames rise on tall wooden supports, gripping steep banks where shifting water levels and scarce ground forced builders upward. Boats once moved people and goods through the town. Today, many carry visitors beneath Hongqiao Bridge and past the stepping stones, turning an old transport route into a moving viewing platform. This frontier town grew among Miao and Tujia communities. Their silverwork, textiles, food, festivals, and domestic customs are living practices, not ornaments fixed to old timber. Night sharpens the pressure. Lantern reflections create a powerful image, while commercial signs, amplified music, packed boats, and converted homes can overpower the routines that gave the old town its identity. I am drawn to Fenghuang because it still appears intact and unhurried, yet that is exactly what crowds can erase. The town can carry more boats. It cannot keep its inheritance if Miao and Tujia life becomes lantern scenery. Crowds reach Zhanglao Peak in an afternoon. The red mountain beneath them took more than 100 million years to form. Near Shaoguan, thick beds of Cretaceous sand and gravel were lifted, fractured, and cut by monsoon rain, rivers, heat and cold into walls, pillars, ravines, caves, and isolated peaks. The rock turns rust red in direct sun and darkens after rain. Subtropical forest holds the protected gullies, where moisture and shade preserve a sharp boundary between stone and growth. The climb toward Zhanglao Peak follows steep stone steps and cliff recesses used for Buddhist halls and retreat. Difficult access once did essential work. It separated these spaces from ordinary noise. That separation has been engineered away piece by piece. Stairs, railings, and cable transport open the heights to far more people, while concentrated viewpoints press bodies and sound into narrow ledges. I respect Dangxia because its severe geology does not demand mastery. It leads toward restraint. The harder truth is that rock can absorb footfall far longer than a place of retreat can absorb constant noise. The mountain does not need protection from being seen. Its quiet needs protection from being consumed. If every ascent becomes a race to the viewpoint, the cave halls remain, but their purpose is pushed aside. Roads now compress a sacred journey once made largely on foot, but they cannot accelerate the patience that gave it meaning. 5 broad, flat-topped peaks surround the temple settlement of Taihuai, where monks, pilgrims, patrons, and rulers have gathered for well over 1,000 years. Mount Wutai is revered as the earthly abode of Manjushri, the Bodhisattva of wisdom. Chinese and Tibetan Buddhist traditions meet here in architecture, ritual, and daily religious work. The White Taiyuan Stupa anchors red walls, tiled halls, prayer routes, and incense-filled courtyards. Monasteries occupy valley floors, forest margins, and exposed heights. Summer greens the slopes and draws large pilgrim flows. Winter seals courtyards beneath snow and ice, while severe wind drives across the high ridges. Roads and organized tourism remove much of the old physical barrier. That relief also packs worship and photography into spaces shaped by silence, repetition, and slow movement. I value Mount Wutai because faith remains bound to forest, cloud, snow, and hard ascent. Treating those forces as scenery weakens the discipline that made the mountain sacred. Traffic may leave the walls intact while erasing their stillness. Access has reduced isolation. Restraint must keep Wutai from becoming a crowded backdrop for sacred buildings. A sacred mountain built for slow pilgrimage now lets cableways bypass much of the climb. Mount Emei rises more than 3,000 meters in Sichuan, carrying worshippers from humid foothills through cloud forest to exposed summit wind. One of China's 4 sacred Buddhist mountains, Emei is not a single monument. Temples, forest shrines, and stone stairways make the whole ascent religious ground. That ground tests the body. Fog covers the steps, ice hardens them, and elevation pulls warmth from the air before the summit appears. Cableways change that measure. They spare the long climb and move crowds toward a few famous structures, ending isolation without preserving the old pace. At the top, the 48-meter golden Samantabhadra statue stands beside the Golden Hall and Silver Hall. Cloud seas can hide all 3 within minutes. Pilgrims bow, burn incense, and circle the figure. Wind, crowd controls, and concentrated filming can compress a vast sacred route into a contest for position. Lower down, macaques and plants occupy the steep bands between subtropical forest and colder heights. Their habitat absorbs pressure hidden by the summit image. Emei's scale should be felt across the whole ascent, not compressed into a crowded summit with pressure displaced into the forest below. A lake can lose its emptiness long before it loses its water. At roughly 4,700 meters on the Tibetan Plateau, Namtso has no outlet to the sea. Precipitation, streams, and highland meltwater feed it. The altitude strips comfort away. Thin air, intense ultraviolet light, and persistent wind control movement along a shore where sparse plants recover slowly. Winter locks much of the surface in ice. In warmer months, clouds can turn the water from turquoise to steel blue, then nearly black. For Tibetan Buddhists, this is sacred ground, especially around Tashi Door. Prayer flags, caves, and rock formations mark a route of pilgrimage and circumambulation. The shoreline is also working habitat. Wetlands give seasonal waterbirds space to feed and rest, but that margin is narrow and easily disturbed. Roads have broken the old isolation. Parked vehicles, horse and yak rides, cairn building, litter, and repeated footsteps can press damage into the same small stretches of shore. This is the contradiction I keep returning to. Access reveals Namtso, then concentrates pressure exactly where the lake meets land. The cliffs may endure the crowds. Namtso's first loss would be the wide, unoccupied shore, the absence that wind, rock, and cold water still protect. A grassland this open survives by movement, yet modern access tries to hold it still. Below the Tian Shan Mountains in Xinjiang, winter snow feeds streams and wet meadows across Nalati, while pastoral families shift herds between seasonal pasture. The green is powerful, but temporary. Spring melt feeds grasses and wildflowers, summer supports grazing, autumn dries the slopes to gold, and deep winter snow can close roads. Water decides the shape of the valley. Braided channels spread across flatter ground, while conifer belts hold the cooler slopes above. Kazakh pastoral life also depends on motion. Horses, sheep, cattle, and goats move with the seasons, and yurts remain mobile homes inside a working landscape. This rhythm needs distance. Pasture must rest, herds must rotate, and families must answer weather rather than a fixed visitor timetable. Roads, shuttles, and viewing platforms can cross that distance with impressive efficiency. They also funnel vehicles and feet into valleys, once governed mainly by snow, water, and grazing. Heavy trampling and vehicle tracks do more than mark the grass. They make a short growing season look like a surface that can take endless use. The warning is a pasture that no longer gets time to rest. A sightseeing circuit can freeze a landscape whose water, herds, and weather depend on movement. Nesting birds, herds, pilgrims, and roads all meet along Qinghai Lake's shifting shore. More than 3,000 meters above sea level, China's largest lake fills a closed basin on the northeastern Tibetan Plateau. With no ocean outlet, evaporation leaves salts behind. Rain, river inflow, and long climate shifts alter both the water and the line where grass meets shore. That changing edge is not empty ground. Islands, marshes, and exposed shores give bar-headed geese, great cormorants, gulls, and other migratory birds places to breed and rest. The grasslands carry another form of dependence. Tibetan pastoral communities need grazing land and water for their herds, so a crowded shoreline can press against working life as well as habitat. Prayer flags and circumambulation routes mark the lake as sacred ground. Quiet here is not a decorative mood. It gives religious practice room to continue. Summer rapeseed fields add a yellow border, but only for one season. The deeper structure is water, pasture, nesting ground, and faith sharing the same narrow margins. Roads and cycling routes end old isolation, but vehicles near nesting areas can disturb birds. Waste and shoreline construction then leave pressure behind after visitors move on. Qinghai stays whole only when access leaves distance for birds, herds, and belief. Balconies once lifted worship above traffic and floodwater. Today they concentrate a different pressure: crowds. High above a narrow Shangxi gorge, 3 religious traditions occupy one temple fixed directly into the cliff. Its origins are traditionally traced to the late Northern Wei period, though much of the structure now visible comes from later rebuilding and repair. The engineering is severe and economical. Builders cut sockets into rock, fitted timber beams into the cliff, and made those beams carry halls over open space. Exterior posts add support and sharpen the impression of halls balanced over the gorge, yet the cliff carries the decisive load. Rock recesses shelter parts of the temple from rain. Its height once separated worship from traffic and floodwater below. Small chambers hold Buddhist, Taoist, and Confucian figures under one roof. The union of 3 traditions makes this a place of devotion, not a test of nerve. Controlled groups now move through narrow stairs and balconies. Bottlenecks, vibration, loud conversation, and the hunt for dramatic photographs can overwhelm the temple's small rooms. Noise can turn the climb into a brief thrill. The hanging temple needs controlled access because its narrow ledges were made to hold faith, not crowds. What looks empty here is working land spread across enormous distances. Across 4 seasons, Hulunbuir contains steppe, wetlands, hayfields, floodplains, and winter pasture, not one uniform meadow. The Halar and Argun river systems bend through low floodplains that stay greener than the uplands. Those channels are not decoration. They organize water, grazing, and seasonal movement. Mongol and other local pastoral families manage horses, cattle, and sheep through birthing periods, hay cutting, water access, and shelter from winter wind. Every open interval between herd, home, and river has a practical use. Summer grass can rise quickly after rain, then cure to gold before temperatures fall far below freezing. Snow restricts grazing, so preparation in the warm months carries life through winter. White jer tents belong to that mobile working life. They are not props placed in an empty view. Their spacing reflects pasture, water, weather, and labor. What I value in Hulunbuir is distance, not emptiness. Roads and fencing can break movement across the steppe, while intensive grazing and drought tighten pressure on the remaining grass. Tourism camps add another fixed claim. Hulunbuir needs open ground between rivers, herds, and homes, so its 4-season working life can continue. Behind Huanggoshu's falling water, a cave lets visitors step into the force they came to see. The waterfall drops nearly 80 meters across a face about 100 meters wide. That force begins far upstream. Rain moves through Guizhou's limestone, feeding underground drains, surface rivers, pools, and a chain of falls. Monsoon water can merge its channels into one dense wall. In the dry season, ledges return and reveal the structure beneath. Inside Water Curtain Cave, spray hits the passage, stone vibrates, and daylight breaks through moving water. That physical contact is Huang Guoshu's rarest privilege. Stone paths, bridges, tunnels, elevators, and platforms now open the wet gorge to large flows of people. Engineering holds against steep relief and constant runoff, but carries pressure deeper into the site. Mosses and moisture-loving plants hold the wet margins. They depend on the same spray that draws people close, yet cannot move when foot traffic concentrates. At night, colored light recasts the water in blue, purple, red, and yellow. The risk is that crowds and spectacle begin competing with the fall's own seasonal force. Huang Guoshu needs bridges strong enough to cross the torrent, and limits strong enough to stop the waterfall becoming a stage where its own thunder is pushed aside. A trading town built around a waterfall now risks being remembered mainly for its lights. Fenghuang occupies a steep bank above Hunan's Yu River, where wooden buildings descend toward broad water passing directly beneath the settlement. Flat ground is scarce. Stone lanes, covered passages, balconies, and stacked houses grip the slope because river and rock leave little room. Moisture sets the terms. It darkens timber, feeds moss, wears stone, and binds kitchens and paths to the river. Historically called Wangkan, it served as a regional trading point in an area with a strong Tujia presence. The name Fenghuang spread widely after the film Hibiscus Town and the tourism that followed. Access brought income, but it also concentrated attention around the waterfall. Working homes and local culture can then recede behind the most marketable view. Daylight preserves the evidence: worn steps, river traffic, spray, cooking, and repairs. These reveal a settlement adapting to a wet cliff, not a facade built for photographs. At night, lanterns turn the slope into a luminous wall. The effect is powerful, which is precisely why restraint matters. A lit window with no household behind it would be the warning. Water, wood, stone, and light remain, but the living town has yielded to display. Here, a mountain cliff is not scenery. It serves as roof, wall, and foundation for sacred buildings. At Yunfeng Temple, a huge, natural overhang shelters halls in the rock, while the multi-level Potala Palace climbs the slope. Mianshan rises near Jiexiu through narrow valleys, springs, recesses, and elevated paths. Buddhist and Taoist sites accumulated where flat ground was scarce. Builders did not flatten the mountain. They anchored chambers and walkways to rock, letting the cliff carry weight and shield interiors from weather. Bronze bells, inscriptions, statues, and red prayer ribbons mark a route where ritual and construction overlap. Their layered meanings resist a single, tidy reading. The mountain is tied to the legend of Jezitui and the Cold Food Festival. later linked with Qingming customs. Story, worship, and terrain have become hard to separate. This is not one untouched survival. Fire, upheaval, weathering, and modern rebuilding left old remains beside restored structures, so confident labels can mislead. Roads, elevators, and cliff walkways now compress approaches that once demanded long effort. Engineering opens sacred recesses, but also carries crowds deeper and faster. I value Mianshan because its hanging halls, bells, and red ribbons still resist complete decoding. Access should reveal the mountain without stripping away the mystery its cliffs protected. A wetland shaped by centuries of labor now holds its ground beside modern Hangzhou. Immediately west of the dense city, canals, marshes, and lakes cover more than 70% of Xixi National Wetland Park. This is not untouched wilderness. Centuries of dikes, fish ponds, farming, boat transport, and village settlement built much of the pattern that survives today. Narrow channels move water between enclosed ponds and larger waterways. That circulation supports fish, amphibians, insects, and resident or migratory birds in shallow ground that can be easily disturbed. Traditional Jiangnan houses, stone bridges, persimmon groves, waterside markets, and dragon boat customs show that people belong to this wetland history. The villages are not decorative scenery, they are part of its working structure. Keeping this place quiet beside a city built for speed requires constant discipline. Xixi gives Hangzhou room to slow down, but only if restraint remains part of the design. Water levels must be managed, vegetation must be controlled, water quality protected, and construction held back at the urban edge. Tour boats and paved routes open the marsh without scattering every footstep across it. Once traffic and noise reach the shallow backwaters, the quiet that makes Xixi valuable has already been surrendered. Four granite peaks rise above valleys that modern access can reach without ever taming. The highest, Yaomei Feng, rises more than 6,200 meters, while three long valleys carry most visitors beneath the technical summits. Shuangqiao, Changping, and Haizi do not offer one simple mountain route. Their paths cross conifer forest, autumn woodland, alpine meadow, braided streams, lakes, glacial deposits, and high barren slopes. Snow and small glaciers feed water downslope. Lower forests join the wider mountain habitat of western Sichuan, so pressure in one corridor does not stay neatly beside the trail. The massif is not empty. Hikers, pack horses, grazing animals, and rough crossings share its valleys, but long distances keep those movements dispersed. Shuangqiao carries the clearest engineering bargain. Boardwalks and shuttle roads concentrate movement, protecting some ground from random trampling while carrying crowd noise farther into the valley. Changping and Haizi keep less engineered routes, but access still changes behavior. A path that reduces isolation can also erase the distance that made the path worth building. Paths, bridges, and shuttle roads can enter Mount Sigunyang. If they fill every valley with crowds, The defining silence is no longer protected. The smallest lines are disappearing first from a sandstone cliff, bearing more than 51,000 sacred figures. Across nearly 1 kilometer west of Datong, 252 caves preserve images ranging from monumental Buddhas to figures only centimeters high. Most major carving took place in the 5th and early 6th centuries, when Northern Wei rulers joined Buddhist devotion to imperial authority through monumental art. The early Tanyao caves use vast seated Buddhas to command the chamber. Later caves pack architecture and ornament into increasingly complex interiors. Yet size is only the first layer. Robes, halos, musicians, donors, and changing facial types record artistic exchange along routes linking northern China with Central and South Asia. The number itself can become a trap. A total above 51,000 encourages a quick tally, while the real evidence sits in a fold of cloth, a donor's posture, or a face only centimeters wide. The material that enabled the work also exposes it. Soft sandstone yields to wind, water infiltration, salts, temperature change, and the residue of past industrial pollution. Conservation therefore works at two scales. Stabilize the giant silhouettes, then protect the shallow lines that carry expression. Yungang remains legible only when conservation protects the stone and visitors give its smallest faces time. A village ended its isolation by cutting a road through the face of a red-brown cliff. In the 1970s, a small group of Guoliang villagers drove more than 1 kilometer through the Taihang Mountains with hand tools and simple equipment. They did not shape a polished passage. Jagged openings along the outer wall hauled spoil out and admitted light and air, while exposing the gorge beyond. Before the tunnel, movement depended mainly on an exposed stair path. After it opened, food, building materials, medical help, students and vehicles could cross the mountain instead of stopping below. This was local survival before it became a tourist symbol. Stone houses, terraces, market lanes and waterfalls still prove that the road belongs to an inhabited landscape, not an isolated engineering stunt. Heavy traffic, staged photographs, and commercial stalls now press against that meaning. A simple, heroic tale can turn hard labor into a backdrop and push domestic life out of view. I admire the tunnel because its roughness keeps the villagers' labor visible in the road. Uneven windows and blunt tool marks preserve the scale of work required. Guoliang needs access, but not crowds that turn homes and cliff windows into a stage. Otherwise, the road remains, while the working village it served is reduced to scenery. One ascent crosses China's great climatic divide between north and south. Mount Taibai rises about 3,800 meters, the highest summit in the Qinling Range. Lower valleys may warm while snow still holds near the top. Deciduous forest gives way to conifers, then subalpine scrub, meadow, and exposed rock. Each stage leaves fewer trees and less shelter. Above the tree line, glacial landforms and small lakes such as Diahai preserve evidence of colder periods. Their water occupies terrain where ice once shaped the mountain. Cloud can erase distant views within minutes. Cold wind, rain, and sudden temperature drops harden the route, while wet stone can strip traction from a high path. The mountain also carries Taoist associations, temples, and pilgrimage traditions. That history makes the upper route more than a physical test. It is sacred ground with its own demand for restraint. Cableways and high paths shorten access, but they also concentrate footsteps in the most fragile terrain. Alpine plants, limited shelter and litter leave little margin when foot traffic gathers near the summit. Tibetan draws me because it rises from forest to cold stone, snow, and water. Restraint near Diahai protects fragile alpine ground and the sacred quiet of the upper paths. More than 13,000 plant taxa are held inside one garden on China's tropical frontier. Founded in 1959 near Menglan in southern Yunnan, Xishuangbanna Tropical Botanical Garden is operated by the Chinese Academy of Sciences. It joins research plots, conserved forest, and curated collections. Near Laos and Myanmar, this is tropical China. Palms, cycads, bamboos, figs, orchids, and thick lianas. Their forms record different ways to occupy humid ground and reach light. Buttress roots, climbing vines, and layered leaves show how plants brace themselves, reach light, store water, and disperse seeds under humid seasonal pressure. The giant Victoria water lilies tell a different story from the surrounding forest. They are cultivated displays, not local wild flora, and under favorable care, their reinforced leaves can spread several meters across. Botanists, gardeners, seed collectors, and conservation staff keep this archive alive. Their work turns spectacle into research, care, and a reserve of plant diversity. Beyond the gates, remaining tropical forest stands beside villages and extensive rubber cultivation. As those land uses divide habitat, the garden carries a wider burden, protecting species that cannot be secured by display beds alone. I value Xishuangbanna as a living archive, not a fast display of strange specimens. Restraint protects the habitat, research and patient work behind every giant leaf. A mountain of granite can resist snow and wind, yet crowded access can erase its silence. Mount Hua, the western member of China's 5 Great Mountains, concentrates 5 principal peaks along exposed ridges above the Shanxi Plains. The roots do not merely cross this mass, they grip it. Chains, ladders, railings, gates, and stairs cut into rock turn near vertical ground into a negotiated passage. Taoist temples and hermit traditions grew in these heights because difficult access once held the plains at a distance. The climb was not background, it enforced retreat, patience, and restraint. Modern engineering has changed that bargain. Cable cars now carry large numbers close to the northern and western peaks, compressing a sustained ascent into crowded summit encounters. I keep returning to what this access actually alters. Granite remains hard, but cues, shouted instructions, filming, and thrill-seeking can soften the discipline that the mountain once demanded. Red ribbons and packed overlooks seem minor beside cliffs, but concentrated traffic changes the meaning of the route. A sacred approach can become a noisy sequence of checkpoints and trophies. Snow, autumn color, sunrise haze, and cloud seas keep reshaping the peaks, while every chain and plank exposes how little room the cliffs allow. The engineering is impressive precisely because it should reveal human limits, not erase them. Visibility is not the threat at Mount Hua. Reduction is. Granite will survive, but queues and trophy seeking can strip awe from the ascent. A continuous path now crosses a canyon that naturally breaks travel into isolated fragments. At Fenghuang, uplift and long erosion exposed stacked rock, while streams cut narrow gorges beneath high walls on the Taihang Mountain's eastern edge. Building that route required hard engineering. Wooden walkways grip cliffs, tunnels pierce barriers and suspension crossings. Stone bridges and stairs stitch one ravine to the next. But the gorge never holds one shape. After summer storms, channels swell, waterfalls gain force, and loose material moves through tight ravines. In drier periods, the water withdraws into clear pools and smaller cascades. That change explains why the structures matter. They expose the canyon's depth, while forcing every crossing to acknowledge rock, water, weather, and limited ground. Forests occupy ledges and sheltered slopes, shifting from summer green to yellow, orange, and red in autumn. Against those walls, each narrow boardwalk makes human scale unmistakably clear. The same route also gathers footsteps, noise, and waste along the river margins. What opens the gorge can therefore press hardest on its most confined ground. Fenghuang's construction succeeds when it makes people smaller, not louder. Turn every drop and overhang into an amusement obstacle, and the canyon becomes infrastructure around a thrill ride. Summer access, not winter ice, creates Heavenly Lake's most immediate pressure. Tianchi lies about 1,900 meters high, north of Bogda Peak, in a basin shaped by ancient ice and landslide or moraine debris. That origin matters. Heavenly Lake is not simply a modern reservoir. Snowmelt and mountain streams feed it. Evaporation and seasonal freezing regulate the water. Spruce-covered slopes frame the lake beneath the far higher, snowbound Bogda Massif. Its visual force comes from blue water held between forest, snow, and cold mist. Beyond the shore lies a Kazakh pastoral landscape of horse culture, local stories, and seasonal valley use. That connection cannot be reduced to visitor scenery. In summer, buses, paved paths, docks, sightseeing boats, and pavilions concentrate movement along the accessible shore. Access relieves isolation, but it also carries noise and repeated boat circuits deep into the basin. Winter reverses that pressure. Ice, snow, mist, and partly closed routes replace boat traffic, and the mountain's scale regains control. The test is brutally simple. Docks, paths, and roofs must remain secondary to forest and peak. At Heavenly Lake, the fragile beauty survives only while the mountain commands the shore. A wooded hill carries an ancestor's memory, though archaeology has never verified the mound as his burial place. On Qiao Mountain in Shanxi, Tens of thousands of cypresses surround the memorial to Huangdi, the Yellow Emperor, traditionally regarded as an ancestor of Chinese civilization. Its authority comes from repetition, not excavation. Across centuries, rulers, officials, communities, and delegations have carried incense and ancestral respect over the same ritual ground. The route refuses a quick climax. It passes Zhuanyuan Temple, courtyards, inscribed monuments, cypress shade, and finally, the memorial mound on the wooded slope. Their canopy gives the architecture restraint, though age claims for individual trees deserve caution. At Qingming, large public ceremonies fill these spaces. At quieter times, incense smoke and a pause before an inscription keep the same bond alive without spectacle. That contrast is what strikes me. Its meaning depends on measured movement, shade, and conduct, none of which can be widened like a road. Faster movement can carry larger crowds, but it also changes attention. When each courtyard becomes a stop for the next photograph, ceremony shrinks into circulation. The real safeguard is larger than the mound itself. It is the slow discipline beneath the cypresses, the reverence that keeps Huangdi Mausoleum from becoming an ordinary monument. An ancient-looking settlement grips a gorge, but much of it was deliberately built. In Jiangxi, Wangxian Valley binds wooden facades, bridges, pagodas, and lantern streets to forest, rock, waterfalls, and running water. This is not an intact village carried unchanged from the past. Construction, restoration, landscaping, and planned circulation shaped the ensemble into one mountain settlement. The gorge came first. Water still sets the order. Streams pass beneath bridges and along steep slopes, forcing every stair, roof, and crossing to negotiate tight ground. That negotiation is an engineering feat disguised as tradition. Buildings grip the cliff, while paths, bridges, and safety systems channel movement through a narrow corridor. Workers keep the effect intact. They maintain roofs, vegetation, stream edges, lighting, and routes where rock, water, buildings, and visitors occupy one confined space. At dusk, illumination reveals the valley's vertical form. Too much brightness erases mist, running water, darkness, and the scale of the forest. Fill every ledge with visitors and every surface with light, and the built fantasy overpowers the gorge that gives it force. Wangxian Valley is strongest when engineering frames the stream instead of replacing it. The lights can sell an image. Only restraint preserves the dark cliffs and running water beneath. A sacred lake can lose its meaning without losing a drop. Nearly 4,500 meters above sea level, Yamdrok branches through southern Tibet, while roads deliver rapid access to high overlooks. The water is not one fixed blue. Depth, suspended minerals, hard plateau light, and viewing angle shift its turquoise color from inlet to inlet. That brilliance can flatten meaning into scenery. Yamdrok is counted among Tibet's sacred lakes. Its prayer flags, cairns, and monasteries belong to a religious landscape, not visitor props. Samding Monastery overlooks part of the lake region. Below it, villages, grazing animals, barley fields, and seasonal wetlands tie sacred ground to daily work. The basin runs on a narrow balance. Snowmelt and local streams feed it. Evaporation and engineered water use pull the other way. Roads have broken the old barrier of distance. They concentrate parking, decorated yak photographs, litter, and repeated movement toward shores traditionally approached with respect. Village access and visitor access are not the same bargain. One eases isolation. The other needs firm limits before traffic strips quiet and measured distance from the sacred shore. The blue water, salt white shore, high mountains and prayer flags retain their sacred depth only while roads stop short of turning distance into constant traffic. Most of the Ming tombs remain closed, and that limit strengthens the site. The basin holds separate tomb complexes for 13 Ming emperors, yet most underground interiors have never been opened. North of Beijing, enclosing ridges, water orientation, and a ceremonial approach shape the basin beneath the Tianshu Mountains. Geography was made part of imperial protection. The Spirit Way sets the approach before any chamber appears. For more than 500 years, stone lions, elephants, camels, horses, officials, and generals have marked a fixed ceremonial sequence. That restraint matters because excavation is not automatically rescue. Dingling was opened in the 1950s, revealing massive stone doors and chambers, but artifacts suffered under inadequate conservation. The unopened ground offers the clearest answer to the access paradox. Closure is not a blank on the visitor map, but a deliberate safeguard shaped by conservation failure. Changling carries imperial scale above ground as one of the grandest complexes. Its halls, gates, and mounds prove that magnitude does not require total exposure. What holds my attention is the discipline of the sequence. Stone road, formal figures, gates, then a closed interior. Public access ends before the entire site becomes an exhibit. Modern access can bring history closer, but it can also create pressure to open every sealed chamber. Here, dignity survives because most imperial interiors remain beyond the crowd. A highway can end isolation at 4,000 meters, then bring crowd pressure to land once protected by distance. Litang's short summer must feed yaks, horses, and sheep before frost and winter scarcity return. This grassland is not one uninterrupted field. Meadow, braided channels, shallow wetlands, grazing ground, and town edges share a broad valley under snow-dusted ridges. Its openness is worked land. Kampa Tibetan families move and care for herds, while tents, monasteries, prayer flags, clothing, and riding traditions hold practical and religious meaning. The horse festival gathers riders, families, trade, and ceremony on open ground. It belongs to local social life, not a performance staged apart from it. The Sichuan-Tibet Highway is a hard engineering answer to altitude, distance, and mountain weather. It moves goods and visitors, binding a remote plateau to faster traffic. The shallow wetlands are especially easy to misread. They are part of the living patchwork, not empty foreground beneath a rider or a line of prayer flags. I value Lijiang because people, animals, faith, and water still occupy the same wide ground without hurry. Access should strengthen that life, not encourage crowds to treat a high plateau home as a grand backdrop. Harbin builds monuments that start disappearing as soon as they are finished. On Sun Island, millions of cubic feet of snow become palaces, animals, and buildings for only a few winter months. Unlike the transparent ice buildings elsewhere in Harbin's festival, these works use compacted snow. Huge blocks are cut into mass, then refined into faces, folds, and edges. The scale demands designers, machine operators, scaffold crews, and sculptors. Machines build raw volume. Hands finish the details that give each structure its identity. Cold holds the work upright, but not unchanged. Sunlight, wind, settling, and brief warm spells soften detail and can make structures unsafe. That risk sets a firm sequence: construction, display, weathering, closure, then melt. The exhibition is engineered around an ending, not protected from one. Each winter, different designs begin again. Disappearance is not failed permanence. It separates snow sculpture from a fixed monument. The pressure here is escalation. Demands for larger, brighter, and longer-lived works can push crews past snow's material and safety limits. Sun Island answers the urge to conquer every limit by refusing it. Crews control access, close, unsafe ground, and let the material disappear. Anren can preserve every wall and still lose the town inside them. Its museum cluster protects late Qing buildings and Republican-era mansions, while a heritage-style tram links the visitor area, turning separate landmarks into a curated past. This is not the fragility of a forest or wetland. Its smaller rhythm lies in tea poured slowly, neighbors trading, feet on gray brick, and bird cages beside market stalls. Courtyard homes join Sichuan timber halls and enclosed gardens with imported decoration. Carved stone and heavy masonry show wealth, but these rooms were built for use, not display alone. Beyond them, stalls, umbrellas, and tea shops keep history at human scale. Fields and expanding neighborhoods tie Anren to the working Sichuan basin, not a sealed heritage compound. That bond is easy to thin out. Polish every lane, standardize every storefront, schedule every pause, and local habit gives way to managed circulation. I am drawn to Anren because its value survives in ordinary use, where preservation cannot be measured by clean facades alone. The real test is whether the tram can bring access without setting the town's pace. Save only the buildings, and Anren becomes an orderly old street stripped of the daily life that made it distinct. An ordinary gray cliff holds nearly 110,000 Buddhist figures. They occupy more than 2,000 caves and niches beside the Yi River, ranging from small donor images to a Buddha nearly 17 meters high. Carving expanded after the Northern Wei moved its capital to Luoyang in the late 5th century. Later dynasties continued the work, and the Tang period pushed scale and expression to their peak. At Fenghuang Temple, the great Vairocana presides over disciples, bodhisattvas, guardians, and muscular heavenly kings. Each face and posture carries a separate character. Mass did not erase precision. Yet the figures that hold my attention are often the smallest. Patrons left modest images and inscriptions beside imperial commissions, pressing private faith into the same limestone wall. That pale stone accepted fine detail, but it also accepts every season. Rain, temperature swings, biological growth, and polluted air work steadily across brows, robes, and hands. The cliff path forces a useful change of scale. A colossal ensemble fills the eye, then a small niche reveals one quiet face looking toward the river. Longmen cannot be secured by counting statues alone. Preservation means limiting pressure on the paths and giving each carved face enough quiet to be read as a face, not a number. The palace that dominates Lhasa is most vulnerable in its smallest rooms. Rising about 120 meters on Mapo Ri, the red and white complex contains more than 1,000 rooms behind thick masonry walls and steep stairways. A palace stood here in the 7th century, but most of today's structure rose from 17th century building campaigns. This was not one facade, but a vertical institution. The White Palace held administrative and residential rooms for successive Dalai Lamas. The Red Palace packed chapels, scriptures, thangka paintings, statues, and gilded stupas into a sacred core. Stone carried the load. Timber shaped the interiors, while narrow stairs forced government, residents, monastery, and worship to occupy the same hard climb. That scale can mislead. From far below, Potala becomes a clean emblem. Inside, meaning survives in compact rooms, where scriptures, paintings, metal, and timber share limited air. The contradiction is hard to ignore. The stronger the fortress appears, the stricter its care must become. Fire prevention, humidity control, dust management, limited time and controlled visitor numbers protect what the skyline hides. Pilgrims still circle the hill, tying the massive exterior to living practice. Potala remains sacred only if access stops before crowded feet and hurried passage wear down its inner rooms. The beauty that made Lijiang famous can also empty it from within. UNESCO includes Dayan, Shuhei, and Baisha, yet Lijiang's real structure is not a title. It is water, timber, stone, and resident life. Lijiang grew along tea-horse trade routes, linking Yunnan to Tibetan regions and wider markets. Merchants needed a working town, and Naxi households gave the lanes their daily rhythm. Springs north of town were divided into canals for homes, workshops, gardens, washing places, and fire control. The water rejoins downstream, a network driven by gravity and disciplined use. The stone lanes reject a rigid grid. They follow the slope, cross the channels, and tighten beneath tiled roofs and timber shop fronts. That irregular plan shows a town adapting to its basin instead of flattening it. Courtyards, food, music, Dongba traditions, and domestic work turn old buildings into a living settlement. After dark, lighting and pedestrian commerce sharpen every roofline and canal. They also raise the pressure as homes become bars, souvenir shops, and short-stay businesses. I find that tension harder to ignore than the mountain postcard. Access supports livelihoods, but commerce can consume the ordinary routines that keep this water town alive. Lijiang remains valuable only while its canals serve a town with its own pulse, not a heritage brand built for constant turnover. More than 7,000 stone steps turn one mountain into a test of imperial power and human discipline. For over 2,000 years, Mount Tai has risen above the Shandong Plain as a ritual mountain, pilgrimage route, and symbol of legitimate rule. The sacred route begins near Dai Temple and climbs through gates, pavilions, carved steles, and cliff inscriptions. It ends beyond the South Heavenly Gate at Jade Emperor Peak. The stone underfoot is only half the record. Cliff calligraphy records rulers, scholars, pilgrims, and changing ideas of the mountain. Emperors linked Mount Tai with Fenghuang ceremonies honoring heaven and earth. Only a limited number claimed that right because the ascent could affirm who was fit to govern. That history gives the stairway its force. Each gate narrows the route, and every flight demands effort rather than speed. The route has never belonged to emperors alone. Porters, vendors, monks, maintenance crews, and ordinary climbers have kept practical life beside formal ritual. Cable transport now bypasses much of the stairway, while sunrise crowds compress the peak into a prize to collect. Access shortens the climb, but can remove its discipline. I respect Mount Tai when its steps still force a measured ascent, rather than reducing the sacred route to a recorded achievement. Shuttle buses, boardwalks, cableways, and oxygen for sale now push mass access toward high ice. Just north of Lijiang, 13 peaks rise from settled valleys, with Shanzidou reaching about 5,600 meters. The height stacks forest, alpine meadow, loose rock, snowfields, and remaining glaciers into one steep wall. This is not merely Lijiang's white horizon. In Naxi tradition, the massif is sacred and tied to Sanduo, a protective deity. Water binds the high slopes to the valleys below. Meltwater and mountain drainage feed streams and lower landscapes, including the intensely colored pools of Blue Moon Valley. The ice is already giving ground. Scientific observations have documented substantial glacier retreat as the regional climate warms, changing the mountain far above the busiest paths. Engineering compresses the barrier of altitude. Cableways, platforms, oxygen sails, and shuttles move large flows upward where thin air still imposes hard limits. Boardwalks can keep feet inside controlled corridors, which protect some ground. Yet the same control can turn clear water, forest, and valley into convenient stops detached from the ice above. What concerns me is not the peak's power, but the fragile calm around the lakes and paths below. Once access becomes effortless, That calm is the first quality the mountain can lose. This canyon compresses daylight into a thin beam, then makes a single voice rebound between walls with startling force. Near Kuka, uplifted sedimentary rock has been squeezed into passages where direct sun may reach the floor only briefly. The walls began as layered sandstone and related deposits. Mountain building tilted and fractured them before water found the weaknesses. Runoff drove abrasive sediment through the cuts. Wind, frost, and repeated swings in temperature widened the route grain by grain. That work produced the canyon's red, orange, and brown layers, but enclosure is its real force. Light changes fast. A passage can turn dark within moments. Sound obeys the same narrow geometry. Footsteps multiply, voices carry, and silence reveals how tightly the rock controls the space. The dry floor gives false reassurance. Rain far upstream can drive water and debris into the slot, leaving little room. So weather checks and route monitoring decide when access must close. Crowds create a slower pressure. Bottlenecks, litter, scratches, and repeated wear on exposed rock. I value this red canyon because its scale depends on smallness and quiet. Once noise fills the gap, the beam remains, but the canyon's defining quiet is gone. Roads can climb above 2,000 meters, but they still cannot make Heaven Lake appear. More than 2,000 meters above sea level, the water fills Changbai Mountain's summit caldera on the border between China and North Korea. A major eruption nearly 11 centuries ago helped build this basin. Cloud forms quickly at this height. Fog, snow, and strong wind can erase the water, while clear intervals may open and close without warning. Winter ice may cover the lake for months. No viewing schedule can command the weather, and that limit matters. Water eventually leaves the caldera through the Changbai waterfall network and feeds rivers below. What appears sealed and remote still sends water down the mountain. The mountain also carries deep importance in Manchu and Korean traditions. Geology here holds identity and memory, not just water. Roads, shuttle vehicles, stairs, and viewing decks concentrate access on the rim. They can reduce isolation, but they must not turn concealment into a defect that more construction is expected to fix. Fragile distance is not a defect to engineer away. Roads may reach the rim, but weather and firm visitor limits should decide how many people arrive and when. Remoteness is often treated as a problem waiting for concrete. Here, it also works as a shield. China has the engineering force to cut roads through cliffs, hang paths above canyons, and carry crowds onto high plateaus. The harder task is knowing where that force should stop. I do not think protection means locking these places away. A road can serve a village. A boardwalk can spare wet ground. Firm limits can keep a sacred path, a nesting shore, or a grassland from becoming a queue. The measure of progress is not how many people can be pushed through a narrow place. It is whether access leaves soil, water, wildlife, and local life intact. In an age of giant infrastructure, restraint may be the clearest proof of power. If this tension matters, follow the series as it examines places where access meets fragility and where human power is judged by the limits it accepts rather than the crowds it carries.